Deep inside a dark cave in South Africa, beyond a narrow passage where few humans dare to crawl, scientists made a discovery that would rewrite our understanding of human history. Bones. Hundreds of them, belonging to a creature that looked almost human, but not quite. What they found in that cave didn't just challenge the timeline of evolution, it broke it. In 2013, two recreational cavers entered the Rising Star cave system near Johannesburg, South Africa. They had no idea what they were about to find. Crawling through tight rock passages, they eventually reached a deep chamber, 36 meters underground. There, scattered across the floor, were bones. Lots of them, and they weren't animal remains. These were human-like. The cavers snapped photos and brought them to a local paleo assembled. But this was no ordinary dig. The chamber was so narrow, only the smallest researchers could fit. So, a team of 6 women, all experienced in both caving and archaeology, was chosen for the mission. They became known as the underground astronauts. What they uncovered wasn't just one skeleton, it was a collection of over 1,500 bone fragments belonging to at least 15 individuals. A new species, one never seen before, had been hiding in total darkness for hundreds of thousands of years. The path to the bones was a nightmare. To reach the fossil chamber, the team had to descend through a narrow, twisting chute called the Dragon's Back. At one point, it narrowed to just 18 centimeters wide. There was no light, no sound, just stone and silence. Every trip into the chamber was a test of endurance, precision, and nerve. Equipment had to be passed down piece by piece. The scientists often worked lying flat on their stomachs, unable to turn around. But what drove them forward was the knowledge that they were exploring one of the most significant sites in human history. What made it even more mysterious was this: no signs of natural disaster, no evidence of predator activity, no other animal remains, only Homo Naledi. How had the bodies gotten there? When the bones were first analyzed, the scientists were baffled. Homo Naledi stood about 5 feet tall and weighed around 100 pounds. Their hands were human-like, capable of gripping tools. Their feet suggested they walked upright. But their skulls told a different story, small, with a brain about the size of an orange. This mix of traits, some ancient, some modern, was unheard of. They didn't fit into any known branch of the human family tree. It was as if evolution had blended together 2 distant species into one. They weren't apes. They weren't quite human. They were something else entirely. The biggest shock wasn't their appearance, it was what they may have been capable of. With such a small brain, Homo Naledi should have been limited to basic survival behavior, but the way their bodies were found hinted at something extraordinary. The placement of the remains suggested intentional activity. Over and over again, the same chamber, the same bodies, no mixing with other animals. It looked as though they were deliberately placing their dead inside the cave. If true, it meant Homo Naledi might have understood death, might have honored it. And that, until now, was a behavior only associated with large-brained humans. No one expected primitive hominins to bury their dead. And yet, the Rising Star Cave tells a different story. No flooding, no dragging, no accidental accumulation. The bodies were whole, undisturbed, and intentionally placed. One adult even appeared to be laid in a shallow depression, curled up, hands at its chest. The only way into the chamber was the treacherous chute, which meant Homo Naledi had to carry their dead through complete darkness, on purpose. But why would a primitive species do such a thing? And how did they navigate the cave at all? These questions still haunt researchers today. For years, no one could figure out how old the bones were. Scientists feared the worst, that they were over 2 million years old and might be too ancient to understand. But when dating results came in, the world was stunned. Homo Naledi lived around 236,000 to 335,000 years ago. That's shockingly recent. It means they were alive at the same time as early Homo sapiens, possibly even interacting with them. For context, Neanderthals and modern humans overlapped for thousands of years. Could Homo Naledi have done the same? If so, it means the human story wasn't a straight line. It was a crowded, branching path with multiple intelligent species walking the Earth at the same time. Until Homo Naledi, scientists believed that advanced behavior, like burying the dead, only emerged with large brains. But now, that theory is in question. If a small-brained species like Homo Naledi could perform symbolic acts, what else could they have done? Could they have used tools? Language? Fire? It's possible we've been measuring intelligence the wrong way. That brain size doesn't tell the full story. And if that's true, what else might be out there, buried in the dark, waiting to be found? Homo Naledi reminds us that the human journey isn't simple or linear. It's full of twists, shadows, and surprises. And sometimes, the most powerful answers come from the quietest places. Deep underground in a cave with no light, an ancient species carried their dead into the dark. And in doing so, they illuminated a whole new chapter of who we are.